Hey, it's Alex Miller here with OnStage Colorado. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. Today, we're checking in with Lakewood's Benchmark Theater, which, for my money, is one of the most exciting small theaters in Colorado. Helmed by friends Rachel Rogers and Haley Johnson, Benchmark has only been around since 2016, but they've mounted some very impressive shows in that time, working under the motto, keep the conversation going. In addition to their regular season programming, Benchmark also does its Fever Dream Festival every October. It's a 4-day event with readings of plays in the genres of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy. The third Fever Dream Festival kicks off October 24th and runs through the 27th. And here to tell us all about it and the theater overall is Benchmark producer and co-founder Rachel Rogers. Here's the interview.
Okay, we're here with Rachel Rogers with Benchmark Theater, and we wanted to talk to you, Rachel, about the upcoming Fever Dream Festival. And so I got to say, I haven't been, to my shame, so I need to know everything. So if you can tell me a little bit about kind of when it starts and what's the kind of the driving philosophy behind the festival.
Absolutely. So this year's Fever Dream Festival runs Thursday through Sunday, October 24th through the 27th. We have 5 sessions plus an additional development session, which is really exciting, on Sunday morning with the local playwright, Ellen K. Graham. And Fever Dream Festival began with our very first year. It's a science fiction, horror, and fantasy genre, and all the kind of genres in between, themed new plays, new works, and it's a staged reading festival. And we decided to do it because, really honestly, there's, first of all, nothing like it here in the state of Colorado, and we love these genres, and we really want to be able to see them performed on stage more. And so giving audiences a chance to experience them was something that Haley and I really wanted to bring to our community. These genres are often a way for us to explore our mission in a different but better way. Our mission is to keep the conversation going, and when we're telling stories, things with these types of genres tend to help facilitate more difficult topics because they have a little bit of a divide. They don't feel so immediate to other people. And so when you're talking about something sort of as an allegory or in respect to an alien, you're much more willing to be open to that idea than maybe if it was something that felt like it was next door. And so that's a big part of why we did Fever Dream Festival. Plus, it's a lot of fun. It's really exciting trying to figure out how you do these things on stage, especially certain, horror and science fiction effects. And it's really challenging. And we think we should see more of it on stage in live theater. And it brings a whole different group of people to see live theater that may not normally come because they think it's, Shakespeare all the time or something like that.
Absolutely. And so can you tell what level of staging is there that accompanies the readings?
It depends on the session. Every session has more than one piece. And so usually it's a short and then a more full length, or a couple of shorts and a couple of one acts. So it really depends on our directors and how much they decide that they want to put. Some may just be mostly standing at the music stands with the books in hand. Some may actually be moving all over the place. It's just really dependent on the director and the piece. And that's kind of the exciting thing for us, is to see how it's been chosen to go along. How many decide to use more sound cues versus using the stage direction reader to describe what's going on, which is another part that's really fun about the festival.
Okay, and so just kind of a practical question, like where do you get the people that are doing the actual reading?
A lot are, they're all members of our theatrical community here in town. It's an interesting thing. We tend to, honestly, a lot of it is actors that we really have wanted to work with, but just haven't fit perfectly into the right role in our season for the show. Okay. So we tend to reach out to them and say, hey, we really loved your audition for this, and while that didn't work out, we would love to have you come do Fever Dream with us. So that's a big part of it. It's from other auditions, we kind of reach out and say, hey, are you interested in having some crazy fun? and usually they say yes if they can.
All right. And do you have the kind of the lineup? Do you want to talk through some of the shows that are going to be part of the festival?
Sure. So this year's festival is very dystopian heavy. Last year was very artificial intelligence heavy, and it really does depend year to year what kind of submissions we get. It kind of indicates what's going on a lot in the world at the time as well. So we have a couple of horror pieces. Our first session 1, which is our Thursday session, actually opens, and it's got a science fiction, which is actually artificial intelligence. And then it has a space-themed short piece, and then the larger one act that evening it's a little bit different. It's kind of hard to explain. You kind of have to come see it to experience it. It almost feels like interactive theater.
Okay.
It's kind of in the future. So,
cool.
And then after that, we've got several pieces. Again, some are set in space, some are set in the future. We've got one that deals with GMO grown food supply that takes on a mind of its own and basically takes over the world and the planet, and how we deal with that. And we also have our Saturday night session. It tends to be our anchor session. We have, I think it's a total of 5 plays altogether, and those are all very different. And this tends to be our more staged, so there are going to be a lot more movement and things like that. And it's got everything from horror to kind of comedy horror to kind of a murder mystery. So we actually have 14 different playwrights this year out of I think we got over 400 submissions this year.
Wow.
Jeffrey Newman is an incredible curator for the festival. He is the one that takes the first pass at everything and takes a look, and then we have a massive pool of readers that consists of Benchmark Theater company members and past Fever Dream performers and artists. And so we kind of spread those out. We have an adjudication system, and then it slowly but surely gets pared down until we finally make our selections for the weekend. So that night there are 5 different playwrights for the session number 4, which is our Saturday session. We actually have a returning playwright from last year, Robin Pond, which is really cool.
Great.
Yeah.
And so people can buy like a festival pass or individual tickets or either or?
Either or. It's entirely up to the person that wants to come see it. We do individual sessions. They're $10 to come. You can buy that online, or you can buy it at the door day of. Or if you really want to come, you're a big fan and you want to come see it all, you can get a full festival pass for all 5 sessions, and that is $40. And you get a special prize, special gift if you actually attend every single one. And then our Sunday morning development session that I mentioned earlier with Ellen K. Graham, who's a local playwright. This will be the first time that this has ever been read out loud. It's different. It's got a different cast than the rest of the festival, but it's going to be really exciting. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're calling it our monstrous morning. It's Loki's Monstrous Children, and that is completely free and open to the public because we really want people to be able to come in and experience it and give Ellen some feedback and discuss this brand new play that they've heard, which is super exciting.
So great. Well, the festival sounds like an awful lot of fun and certainly a very affordable way for people to come out and get to see some theater that's not often done, in the sci-fi genre. So, and I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of shifting gears for people who may not be as familiar with Benchmark. Benchmark does a lot of different things beyond this, and that this isn't necessarily reflective of the rest of your year, right?
No, it's not. It's funny because it kind of is and it isn't, because our very first show that we ever did that we premiered with was The Nether, which is a science fiction dystopian play. And so once we did that, then we did Fever Dream immediately following it. Everybody thought that Benchmark was, you're a sci-fi company or something. And
you did 1984 this year
and
too,
we did,
right?
and we do tend to do at least one, because again, we really believe in the fact that these types of shows are a way to get conversations going and get you thinking and discussing things that are really important about our community or about topics that are coming up. And so we did 1984 this year. Last year we did a play called Uncanny Valley that also dealt with not just artificial intelligence, but the idea of consciousness, and as we continue to develop, whether or not, if you're capable of sort of uploading your consciousness into a manufactured body, what the repercussions of that would be in living forever. Next year we actually have 2 pieces that will be like that for our 2020 season, because we're doing a show called The Phlebotomist, which deals with a future in which blood testing and your genetic markers and all of that affects your status in the world and what kind of job you can get. But we're also really excited that we're doing The Burning of Kenneth Carrion, which was in our very first Fever Dream Festival, and it's our very first play that we're actually producing fully. It's a world premiere out of the Fever Dream Festival.
Oh, that's great.
But that's a thriller, as opposed, it's more of a horror thriller. But the rest of our plays are all over the place. I mean, our next play coming up after this is Perfumery, and it's a holiday romantic comedy, and it's actually our first romantic comedy that we've ever done. And then right after that is Airness, which is about air guitar competitions.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
awesome.
So we do. Here at Benchmark, again, we always ask, why are we telling the story? Why does the story need to be told? And that's really the litmus test for how we select the shows that we select.
Okay. So are those all the shows that coming up in your next season? Did you name all of them?
I think no. So there is Cry It Out coming up in 2020. That one deals with motherhood and new motherhood and the difficulties of being a new mother and of the decisions about going back to work or not to go back to work and the pressures that society put on you to sort of be the everything and all of that. And then our final show of 2020 is called Grand Concourse. And that one deals with a soup kitchen and all of the kind of goings on and a crisis of faith that the nun who runs the soup kitchen goes through.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Great. Well, it sounds like another great season for Benchmark. And while we're here, I just wanted to ask a little bit. So you've been in this space for a couple of years now. You took over from The Edge.
Yes.
And I have to say, you guys have been hitting home runs. I mean, everything I've come to see here has been fantastic. And I think you've been getting a lot of great response. And but I was just wondering, you and Haley, like, how did you guys come together and create this? This,
It happened really organically, actually. We did a show together in 2020 and became really good friends. And
wait, you did a show?
I mean, not in 2020, sorry. In 2012. You can tell that we just started tech this morning and my brain is all over the place. Okay. In 2012, we did a play together and became really good friends. And we worked on one other play where I assistant directed and she was in it. But otherwise, we really weren't getting to work together much. And we just kind of started talking about wanting to do a project together. And we're deciding, do we want to try to create something, original out of the two of us? Do we want to produce something independently? And as the conversation kept going, it just grew into wanting to actually create our own production company because we really have the same ideals about why we're doing theater, what we want to accomplish, how we want to contribute to our theater community here in the greater Denver metro area, and the kind of stories that should be told. And we both have a similar aesthetic. And we just found that, we kind of share a brain in a lot of ways. And so it really was kismet for us to get together. And originally, we thought we were starting small. We were going to do 3 shows in Fever Dream a year or 2 shows in Fever Dream a year, and we were nomadic. And then about halfway through our first year is when Rick and Patty from The Edge approached us about possibly taking over the space here in Lakewood. And we just decided, why not? Let's just dive in. we may have been a little naive, but I think that, it's been really exciting and been a great journey. And we felt really welcomed here, both in our community as a theater company, but here in Lakewood and at 40 West as well, which has been really fabulous.
So running a theater is not an easy task. What are some of the things that have surprised you that you didn't anticipate?
Oh, my gosh. I think it's interesting because both Haley and I have full-time day jobs as well. And so when you're an independent contractor artist, you kind of pick and choose when you're going to work, and you know that, oh, I need a break. I'm just not going to audition, or I'm just not going to accept this directing position. When you're running a theater, it never stops.
Right.
Even when you think that, okay, we've got built in this month that the theater is dark, there's still all of the back end things to do and for your audience, and that's part of your family and welcoming them, or how to improve conditions for your artists and make sure that they feel safe. And, we've got a lot going on where we have a code of conduct that we developed at the very beginning, but, we're continually trying to keep an eye on things as we learn more about intimacy directors. When we did 1984, there was intimacy and how we integrate that. I think a big thing that we learn is how to deal, especially with our space, with our technical limitations.
Right.
We're always be creative overcoming that. Our location was not built to be a theater. Like many theaters. This is a warehouse. And so it's always the fun game of figuring out what's plugged into what breaker, and what's going to trip. Our dishwasher and our bar is on the same breaker as this is a warehouse. And so it's always the fun game of figuring out what's plugged into what breaker. And what's going to trip. Our dishwasher and our bar is on the same breaker as one of our dimmer packs. And it's learning all of that and that balance. That's probably been one of the craziest things for us,
right.
to come in and be like, okay, well, it's what's going to happen this time? What's going to be the new ghost in the system for this show?
Now, do you guys have to worry about the facility itself, or is somebody else, the building owner, deal with that? Or
we share this building with 40 West Arts Gallery,
right?
And so for the most part, if it's structural, then if it's like the roof or something like that, that's the owner. But if it's something like the plumbing or electricity or anything like that, that is us and 40 West, and we get together and we figure out, okay, who's going to call. We take care of all of it. I mean, it's, I don't know if you've ever seen, oh gosh, what is it called? Slings and Arrows. I don't know if you've ever seen Slings and Arrows. It's this you should definitely watch it if you've never seen it. But one of the opening scenes is you see the artistic director of the small theater company with a plunger in his hand dealing with the toilet, and that's definitely us.
Right.
I'm the one right before we open in the lobby before a show, cleaning the toilets and making sure that everything is spick and span and ready to go. And I think that's what it is top to bottom. We do everything.
Right.
Everything.
And you both direct shows as well, right?
I do. Haley does not. Haley is an acts in the shows sometimes, and I direct some of the shows as well. But we both produce every single play, regardless of whatever artistic area one of us are doing. Haley did costume designs for our first show this year, and I did costume and sound design for our last show. I do a lot of the sound design for us as well.
Right.
So it's interesting. We're always reading all plays. It never stops.
So, did you come out of acting academics that you go to school for?
I did. I got my I have my Bachelor of Arts in Theater. Uh-huh. So I went to the University of Southern Mississippi. In Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Really?
Yes, and I was a generalist. So I was not an acting emphasis. I really was a generalist, which is great because it has really, really helped running a theater company.
Right.
And I've also been very fortunate that in my day job, I work, for a corporation, and there's a lot of corporate governance and that kind of side of things. So I was able to transfer that to being I'm also the executive director of the nonprofit, which is, it's different. We have a nonprofit that Benchmark's actually a DBA of. And so I was very fortunate to have a lot of that information, but there's still a lot of learning and research and, okay, how do I do this? I did our taxes this year, so it's all that fun stuff.
So are you from Mississippi? Or?
I am not.
Okay.
I am, but I was a legacy student. My grandparents and my mother went there.
Okay.
So
are you Colorado native?
Kentucky.
Okay.
I've been all over the place.
Okay.
I actually got to Colorado via Creed Repertory Theater.
Okay.
So I was down there for a couple of seasons. I stage managed and assistant directed down there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And did you and Haley meet in Colorado?
We did. Mm-hmm. We actually met at Miners Alley.
Okay.
Doing a show at Miners Alley. That's
wonderful.
How we met. Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Well, Rachel, thanks so much for walking me through the sort of the inner workings of Benchmark Theater.
Yes, anytime.
Yeah, and the upcoming Fever Dream Festival. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and the people can get tickets for it on your website, which is
www.benchmarktheater. It's RE, not ER.com. And you can also /FDF, but you can get there from the landing page. And costumes are definitely encouraged and welcomed.
Okay.
If anybody wants to dress up, we love it.
All right. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Rachel.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks to Rachel for taking the time out of the busy prep work being done for the festival to talk with me about it. There's a buttload of theater going on all around Colorado right now, and you can find info about all of it on the OnStageColorado.com website, Colorado's only statewide live theater calendar. Please subscribe to our weekly newsletter, tell your friends about us, and also subscribe to the podcast. Whether you listen on Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, or whatever, you can listen to the OnStage Colorado podcast wherever you get your pods. In next week's episode, we're talking with Susan Lyles, the driving force behind En Toto 2, a Denver theater company that focuses on plays written by women. In November, En Toto 2 is presenting Charlie's Waiting by New York playwright Melissa Annis, who I also got to interview for the pod. It's a very cool conversation, not just about the play, but about the craft of playwriting in general, so I encourage you to check it out next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the theater.